Alrighty, so all of the game involving MLS team in the CONCACAF Champions Cup round of 16 first leg is in the books. In fact, all the game in round of 16 first leg is in the books, as next week we're going to have the second leg, that is, and there's definitely some interesting storyline heading into the second leg, at least in the round of 16 first leg game. But one thing for sure is that there were definitely some surprises when it comes to both of these games. Both of these games ended with a pair of 3-0 result, one for the home team and one for the road team. And we'll start off with the team that won 3-0 at home, and a result that I definitely did not expect this. Coming into this game, with the way that Cincinnati has kind of struggled, and especially without Evander for a majority of the beginning of the season as well, I did not expect them to pull up in this game against Tigres, the teams that has kind of helped them in the past full of times, and a team that has always been just a house of pain to deal with when it comes to CONCACAF Champions Cup play. But somehow, in some way, Cincinnati probably played their best soccer this season and get the 3-0 win against Tigres. Now, early on, Tigres was definitely on the front foot as Cincinnati elected to sit back early. It's also important to note that, the commentator, I think he mentioned it a lot of time throughout this game, that Tigres didn't get to Cincinnati until the day of the game. They got there around 5 hours before the kickoff of the game. I know the commentator basically said four hours, but it's really 5 hours because he forgot that this game started at 8 o'clock instead of at 7 o'clock. And Tigres, of course, didn't get to Cincinnati until 3 o'clock. And you kind of wonder whether that was going to be a huge factor, where just Tigres maybe kind of got off to a bit of a slow start, and that was kind of the case because in the 6 minute of the game, Cincinnati takes the lead. It's Kevin Denke. He scored from Echenike to make it 1-0 in favor of Cincinnati, and it was a rare howler for Nahuel Guzman, one of the more well-known goalkeeper, especially for his shithousery in Liga MX. But he's a very solid goalkeeper as well, and it is very rare you see him make this mistake where he just plays it straight to Echenike, and Echenike said, "Thank you very much. I'm going to set this up to Denke." And yeah, just like that, Cincinnati were up 1-0 in this one. Buka would then hits the side netting from close range. That also came after Nahuel Guzman gave the ball away, and yeah, this is just very unlike the Tigres netminder, and that right now Cincinnati, they definitely were looking on top again. It feels like maybe the late travel seems like it has bothered Tigres in this one. They just didn't look like they were engaged early in this one. But that being said, with that mistake, you got to say for Pavel Buka, he's got to punish Tigres as a result. I mean, he had an empty net to shoot. I don't think he realized that he had more times than he thought he would. But yeah, he missed this one. He hits the side netting. We did get some coming together between both of these teams. Ramirez and Correa kind of had a coming together, as Correa kind of did a love plum on Ramirez, and yeah, they kind of share some choice words for each other. Something tells me they're not talking about where's the nearest Skyline Chili in Cincinnati after the game. In the 21st minute, Hadabi would puts one into the stands from long range before Denke puts it high from long range in the 25th minute. That also came off another bad turnover from Tigres as well. And I know Cincinnati, up to this point, they've done a good job capitalizing the mistake that Tigres has had, but they feel like they should do it again as this game goes along, because something tells me, even with an impressive 1-0 win that Tigre or Cincinnati would get for Tigres in this one, I don't know if it's going to be enough heading into the second leg down in Alvacon. We then get an F Lionel Messi chant from the Bailey, and I swear I heard this, and I'm just kind of confused, which is like, this is not. Did the fans realize that this is not Inter Miami that they're facing? I mean, I know obviously Lionel Messi has been a very polarizing kind of character within the MLS. Like, I mean, as much as he is the face of this league, there's definitely some mixed feelings around the league, especially when his name is pretty much shoved down our throats. So it was kind of weird the fact that in the game that didn't even involve Miami or Messi, that I hear an F Lionel Messi kind of chant. I would have probably heard that more in the Nashville game than it is in this one. So yeah, that just kind of felt very random. Correa would then puts it wide from close in the 21st minute. It's been a very physical game, and this is not a big surprise. Anytime when it's an MLS versus Liga MX matchup, it's going to be a physical game, and especially anytime when it's a Cincinnati game. I mean, if there's one thing Cincinnati is known, similar to what I said about the Philadelphia Union, they can be physical with you. And yeah, it was a very physical game, a lot of whistle, not really much rhythm because of that. Barlow then hits it right to Guzman before Salentano absolutely robbed Bernetta on the doorstep of goal. A huge save there from Salentano. the biggest one up to this point. Both team was definitely pressing to get that next goal before halftime. Parada would then heads it high from the corner before the Rona would hook the post in the near post in the 42nd minute, as Tigres was definitely putting some pressure late in the first half. But we do head to halftime with Cincinnati holding on to that 1-0 lead. In the second half, Buka would put it over on the volley. Cincinnati definitely on the front foot again. The question is, can they get themselves that second goal? They do, as in the 53rd minute of all players to get the second goal, it's Tom Barlow. So now we have seen Tom Barlow score in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. I mean, it just feels like the gifts that keeps giving with Tom Barlow, even though he's kind of becoming like the meme lord of MLS. Hey, at least he is still producing in a big way in this one, as he scored here from Denke to make it 2-0 in favor of Cincinnati. This was a much better game for Kevin Denke. He had really struggled to begin the season, but yeah, he looked like the Kevin Denke that we know of from last season. It also came out of a lightning counterattack as well for Cincinnati, as they were up 2-0 up to this point. Linus did look to answer, but it was deflected wide. This is kind of an interesting spot, I thought, for Cincinnati, because on one hand you want to get that third goal and maybe even that fourth goal to really get a huge goal advantage heading down to Alvo Khan, but at the same time you also do not want to give up an away goal, because if you give them an away goal, then all of a sudden this two-leg affair tie change a lot, because if Tigres gets an away goal, they really only need one goal heading into that second leg to move on into the next round. So yeah, if you're Pat Nolan, as much as I know that you want to score more goals, especially against the Tigres team that clearly this is probably the worst I've seen Tigres play against an MLS opponent in a very long time. They were really poor throughout this game, but at the same time, this is Tigres. They will always have some quality for in front of them, and yeah, you just got to be careful not to give up that away goal. Evander then went beast mode there, but just couldn't quite get the shot off. And then the post would deny Buka, but then it falls to Denke, who puts this one into the side netting. Again, Cincinnati was getting some really good golden chances, but the question is, can they finally get that third to get that commanding lead heading down to Alvo Khan? And they do exactly that. As in the 83rd minute, guess who? It's Kevin Denke. He scored from Valenzuela to make it 3-0 in favor of Cincinnati, and that would be the final score of this game. Cincinnati with a commanding 3-0 lead heading down to Alvo Khan, as the shots in this one, 12 shots with 11 that Tigres had, 1 shots on goal for the 4 that Cincinnati had, 6 shots off target for the 4 that Tigres had, 6 shots on the block for the 2 that Cincinnati has, and possession-wise, 57% possession compared to 43% possession that Cincinnati has in this one. So not only the fact that Cincinnati get a huge win that they absolutely needed if they were able to finally get past the menace known as Tigres, but they don't allow an away goal as well, and that is huge too, because if they can get an away goal, which they actually did last time when they faced against Tigres down in Alvocan, then now all the sudden they have a chance to move on into the next round. But again, as I always say before, even when an MLS team it has a huge advantage, going down to Mexico is always going to be tough to get a resort, even with a commanding lead, and especially when you're going down to Alvocan, which is probably the most intimidated place to get a resort. Like of all the Liga MX opponent that I think MLS team has to face down in Mexico, and of all the Liga MX venue that a lot of these MLS team has to visit down in Mexico, I think Alvocan is probably the toughest one to get a resort. That atmosphere is next level. It is very intense. So I'm just gonna say that as much as Cincinnati has this commanding lead, it's not a short thing. I wouldn't be surprised if Tigres is gonna be better heading into the second leg, as they usually do when they're playing at home. And that, I think, for Pat Nolan, as much as he's very happy that his team put off an impressive resort in this game, he'll definitely tell his guys that this two-leg affair is far from over, especially when you face against the like of Tigres that have had histories in terms of getting some big resort in the past, especially at home. Yeah, I don't think this is over by any means necessary, and that, as I said, when San Diego, of course, got that free goal advantage heading down to Mexico to play against Pumas, they do not want, since they don't want to avoid to have the same fate of what we saw in New England a couple of years ago when they had a 3-0 lead after the first leg, and then they went down to Mexico and end up blowing that 3-0 lead and end up losing in a PK shootout as well. Speaking of 3-0, now let's talk about the other resort that also ended 3-0. And this one, what's kind of interesting about this one is the fact that the scoreline really didn't indicate the fact that this game was a very tightly contested game. And while I think in this one, I think Cincinnati was by far better than Tigres in this one, this was not the case. I thought it was a pretty even game for the most part, as you usually see between two MLS team and two really good MLS team in this Cascadia Derby that is. But one thing that was a huge difference in this one of why the Sounders have a commanding 3-0 lead heading into the second leg in Spokane against Vancouver is the fact that they were able to take their chances. Vancouver just didn't take their chances in this one, and not to mention defensively, they weren't at their best in this game either. Now, in the first half, the first shot of the game did see Illumi had a shot that was deflected wide. Vancouver, I thought, was on the front foot. Seattle kind of had a bit of a slow start in this one. They were elected to sit back and trying to soak up that early pressure. It kind of worked out because they started to get into this game. Rusnak would have a chance there in the 6th minute, and he missed wide as that was actually no, that was not the game's first shot, but that was the Sounders' first shot. That is, Di Rosario, who was fresh off of that contract extension, he would hit one right to Takaoka. Seattle definitely woke up, looked to try to get the opening goal. Rodon would then flash it wide from long range, and then Takaoka absolutely robbed Ariola from 6 yards out. So Paul Ariola, of course, coming back after dealing with that torn ACL injury. It's been a long roll back for Paul Arriola, and it's great to see him still got it and still playing at a high level for the Sounders this season. But there was no doubt Seattle continued to press to try to get the opening goal. Rusnak trying to do so, but he puts it high on the free kick before Muller puts it high from close in the 26th minute. The shots were 6-2 for Seattle, 28 minutes into this one. So after a bit of a promising start for Vancouver, Seattle was started to really dominate this game. But as I said, this game felt like it was pretty even because there was definitely some momentum switch in this game. Because in the 31st minute, Laraswood puts it wide from long range, and really, besides the save that Takaoka has, that incredible save to deny Ariel in the 16th minute, I don't think either goalkeeper has really trouble in this one, and that includes Stefan Fry, who made his first start of the season for the Seattle Sounders, and little do we know later in this game he would kind of be coming up big in this one as well. Cabrera then had a shot that was clear off the line by Nuhu in the 32nd minute. Like I said, the momentum, it's kind of swing right back to Vancouver. Now they were pressing to try to get the opener. Loras would then blast it wide from long range. And just as we thought that we were going to hit the halftime 0-0, Seattle takes the lead. It's Paul Arriola. He scored from Ferreira to make it 1-0 in favor of the Sounders. And in many ways, it was kind of against the run of play because the Whitecaps were better up to that point, and really just a self-inflicted mistake for Vancouver. That was another theme for this game of why Vancouver lost this one. There was just way too many self-inflicted mistakes, and here just a bad turnover in their own end. I mean, you can't do that against Seattle, and they were rightfully punished because of it. So yeah, it was 1-0 in favor of the Sounders heading in to halftime. In the second half, Ocampo would puts it wide from long range. Whitecaps were on the front foot again. Seattle was started to get pinned deep a little bit. They just couldn't quite get out of the press that the Whitecaps were putting, but it didn't matter because in the 58th minute they would make it 2-0 as Paul Arriola would score again. This time was a very fortunate goal as well. It was just kind of pinball around there. Ocampo actually almost scored an own goal, but Takaoka was able to make the save. But then it just kind of pins right back to Arriola there. So yeah, very fortunate goal there for the Sounders, but nevertheless, they'll take it. It's 2-0. They did a bit of a lengthy check to see whether there was a possible offside on the zone of play. VAR says that there is none. I couldn't really kind of confirm that because they really never show the replay of that as well. But in the 64th minute, Muller would look to respond, but he missed wide there, and then Fry absolutely robbed the border there. I mean that felt when I saw that save, it kind of reminds me of that trademark Stephen Fry save on Altidore back in the 2016 MLS Cup, where he basically just somehow in some way get a huge left paw to deny him there. Here, Laborda just hits this one powerfully, but Fry with that strong left arm to just palm that one away. Though that being said, Priso had a chance on the second attempt. He had that one on the rebound, and he put that one over from close. I mean, that was an absolute sitter that Ralph Priso missed, and that kind of sums up the night for the Vancouver Whitecaps. I mean, it just feels like it was a rare off night for Vancouver where nothing was going right in front of them in front of goal, and things would get worse for the Whitecaps because in the 70th minute, Paul Frothrock would make it 3-0 in favor of the Sounders, and you just kind of feel like everything everything is going right for the Sounders in this one, where everything just went wrong for Vancouver. They had a chance to get themselves back in this two-legged affair, and next thing you know, they find themselves 3-0 on the other end. As the time winds down, Vancouver did try to at least get something out of it. The Sounders, they were hoping to just try to keep the clean sheet up to this point. There was a huge shout for a penalty for Vancouver not given. The post would then deny Mula from close in the fourth man of stoppage time, which kind of is fitting in terms of how the night has gone for the Whitecaps. Just nothing was going right for them in front of goal. Berhalter would then hits it right to Fry, but yeah, in the end, Seattle with a commanding 3-0 lead heading back not to Seattle for the second leg, because they're still doing that World Cup renovation at Lumen Field. So instead, this game is going to be playing Spokane in Eastern Washington, and I'm pretty sure that Spokane crowd, which I know there's going to be some Sounders fan that, of course, will make the trip, but I'm pretty sure in the Eastern Washington area, I think there's probably going to be a good sizable Sounders fan in the Spokane area, and they'll definitely be very excited to see their team with a commanding 3-0 lead heading into the second leg and having those free away goals as well. Shots in this one, 17 shots for the 10 that Seattle has, 5 shots on goal for the 3 that the Whitecaps had, 4 shots off target for the 9 that Vancouver has, 5 shots that was blocked for the 1 that the Sounders had, and possession-wise, 64% possession compared to 36% possession the Sounders has in this one. And really for the Whitecaps, they really need to do what they did against Portland over the weekend with the same scoreline if they want to move on into the next round against the Sounders, because if they win 4-1 on the road against the Sounders in Spokane, I believe they will go through because they have more of the away goal rule, which again, it just kind of just shows you the fact that I hate the away goal rule. It's such an outdated process. I do not know why the CAF Champions Cup in this region is the only one of the few regions that still use the outdated away goal rule. But hey, I mean, if they can beat one Cascadia team on the road 4-1, we'll see whether or not if they can do so against the Sounders. Though it's not going to be easy whatsoever. One of the things they'll absolutely need to fix is that they have to be better finishing. I mean, again, this game could have gone either way in my opinion if the Whitecaps would have put away their chances. And how many times when I said when you're in a tight game like this, when you have a game between these two really good teams where the margin is definitely far in between, you have to put away your chances when it's given to you, because if you don't, more times than not, your opposition will. And in this case, the Seattle Sounders does exactly that. They were more clinical in this game, and now they're definitely heavy favorites of able to move on into the next round with that commanding 3-0 lead, and most importantly, getting 3 away goals in this one against the Whitecaps. But there you have it. That is pretty much it when it comes to looking at these two first leg round of 16 matchup to kind of conclude the first leg round of 16 matchup that we've seen in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. And just like what I said about the review over the weekend, next week I'll be doing review from a hotel because I'll be down in South Florida for a week there, and I'll attend the one of the CONCACAF Champions Cup game between Inter Miami versus Nashville SC as well. And it's going to be difficult, not only in terms of me trying to keep track of this game, but because I'm in the East Coast, that means that, yeah, you know how this game started at 7 o'clock Pacific time at 10 p.m. Eastern time? Yeah. Everything is going to be late for me. And I believe the second leg is going to be at 11 p.m. Eastern time and 8 p.m. Pacific. And while for me, 8 p.m. is already sounds like a pretty late start for West Coast, man, it's going to be weird watching CONCACAF Champions Cup game or even MLS game in general at that late in the evening. I mean, living in the West Coast, we have that luxury, of course. Don't have to worry about staying way up late to watch all of these MLS action. But yeah, I'm not gonna have that luxury when I go down to Miami. Have to work with East Coast time that is, and it's definitely gonna have that unfamiliar feeling of have to watch games at 10:30 p.m. Eastern to start. Have to go all the way up to midnight and past the midnight oil as well. And as to quote what Extra Time Radio used to say that they usually have a podcast that is known as the Brown Liquor Special. I'm definitely gonna have the Brown Liquor special when it comes to reviewing these CONCACAF Champions Cup really late into the night next week as well. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you like, smash the subscribe button. As always, let me know in the comments below what do you think of both of these games. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.